This is Gigi Berardi reading from FoodWISE, but tonight I'd like to change things up a little bit and make a few comments about the newspaper article that I'll be posting about. And read from the book. We're on guidelines tonight, whole and informed, and then come back to the article. And I just wanted to say that I am wearing a t-shirt. It is my friend's t-shirt, probably difficult to read. Rasta Ranch Winery in the Finger Lakes area of New York State, owned by my good friend Diane, and committed to growing native varietals of grapes. Good Concord, good Catawba, good Delaware. And now in this age of coronavirus, my friend Diane is needing to find a different way to market her products. And I do think this is our new normal, and that is what I'm titling this video. All right, I'll come back to that New York Times article, which is confusing and presents information completely contradictory to other articles that I've been talking about from the New York Times. All right, so the FoodWISE guidelines acknowledge the greater food system and agricultural web that we all are a part of. FoodWISE centers on some key questions. Is this food, this system, this meal, or even I, myself, as the shopper, cook, consumer, thinking in terms of whole? That's the W in the WISE. Look for whole grains rather than refined flours, fish and pasture-fed livestock, and dishes that include plenty of vegetables. This is our goal. These foods are generally more satiating more satisfying than sugary processed foods would be. They also deliver the right amount of fat and nutrients to avoid unwanted and unnecessary body fat, especially abdominal fat, which I talk about more in part 1. And is the farm that produced it whole too, the whole farm, as I discuss in part 1 of this book? Does it produce crops and livestock? Does it recycle waste, regenerate resources? Does it connect to consumers? Then informed. That's the I in WISE. How do we know the food we're eating is whole and the farm or fisheries that produced it are as well? Being informed is part of a process we all are immersed in. From reading food labels to asking questions at wholesale markets to checking online as to whether or not that store-bought chicken should or should not be washed. One question to ask is how far back we trace our food. I do think there is merit in recognizing all the hidden costs of getting the sirloin steak or rice to our plates. Those hidden costs could include air and water pollution from poorly managed confined or concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs. So operations with thousands and tens of thousands of animals and their waste lagoons, or in the case of rice, long-term health effects of arsenic in rice. Being informed is really about asking questions, and plenty of them, reading labels, and keeping current with research that is thought-provoking and sometimes counterintuitive. Where did these tomatoes come from? Who grew them? How did they get from there to here? What is a genetically modified organism, a GMO? And why should I care if I eat one or 1,000? What happens when the government funds some dairy farmers and not others? How big is the agricultural web we are a part of? And what does it look like on the ground in our corner of the world? A FoodWISE attitude values foods that are fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable, but not necessarily all at the same time. But caution, being food savvy, I sometimes might choose True Blue, loyal to local, but not necessarily organic, over Global Green, mega farm organic produce. Doing so helps me be aware of and empathetic to local producers and the challenges they face in providing consistently high quality produce. Here, I use quality to refer to flavor and to a certain extent, the size, shape, and texture of foods free from contaminants and adulterants. Now I'm going to stop there in my reading, and you'll see that we probably won't complete the book, 161 pages, not including recipes, on time in 161 days. I'm going a little bit slower, but here is my point. I really do think we have the time because I think such time is part of our new normal. So the article in the New York Times talks about home farming. And yesterday or the day before, we talked about people hunkering down with their bags of kettle chips and ding dongs and eating themselves into oblivion because that's what they did when they were little. And we're in a crisis time now, at this moment. And so why not run for the Twinkies? That's what the article was about. It's not clear to me how many people are running for the Twinkies right now, and nor is it clear to me how many people are practicing home farming. And this is just it. That, again, what we have is a FoodWISE moment of stop, think, then act. What information are we going to believe? I know I've been sharing a lot from newspapers about what people are doing. The only thing we can be sure of is what we ourselves are doing. And as you've probably figured out, I believe that considering an acronym of whole and being informed and think about sustainability and focus on our own experiences is a way to get practical wisdom, to be happy. So I link to my blog, and I'll post there to some suggestions where to start in terms of home farming, a little bit of home farming, and maybe a lot of savvy shopping. Whether we're going to the supermarket, waiting outside, and going in slowly, one by one, with our personal protection equipment, or we're shopping online. What are some things to look for? I think a main idea here is just to go slow because we do have time in our new normal.